few years ago, I was invited to give a lecture in the University of Belfast in Northern Ireland. And I was asked by the BBC if after the lecture I would mind being interviewed. This was at the time when the Troubles, as they were called, were at their height. There was terrorist activity and a lot of tension between Catholic and Protestant communities in Northern Ireland. I said I'd be very happy to be interviewed, particularly if they concentrated on the history of science, which was my speciality. But I certainly did not wish to be asked politically sensitive questions at that very difficult time. Oh, sure, they said, no problem at all. We will respect that. So I arrived at the studio, and the first question I was asked was, did I think Protestants or Catholics had made the greater contribution to science? That, it seems, was not a partisan or politically sensitive question. But I tell you that story only because it was what the interviewer then went on to say that made me realize something wasn't quite right. Because he said, we all know, he said, that Galileo was sent to jail for believing that the earth is round. Now, I hope you all know that there are two myths or falsehoods in that statement. If you don't, see me afterwards. There are many myths about science and religion in popular accounts of the history of science. For example, here are just a few examples. Medieval Christians taught that the earth was flat. Or the scientific revolution of the 17th century liberated science from religion. Or from the 19th century, evolution destroyed Darwin's faith in Christianity. There are so many of these myths that Ron Numbers and a few of his friends decided it would be good to produce a book in which some of these very common misunderstandings were exposed. And that was the origin of the book Galileo Goes to Jail and other myths about science and religion. And as a friend of Ron and a contributor to that book, I'm absolutely delighted that it has just been translated into Finnish. And I understand that during the course of the afternoon, this book will appear, and that you can buy it, and that you should buy it, because it is a very good read. Each chapter, and there are 25, I know there are 25 myths because I was going to say I wrote myth number 25. I exposed myth number 25, which is that science is the principal cause of secularization. But the point is, each of the chapters in that book are only 3,000 words. You can read them in 20 minutes. Just the thing to read before going to bed or before going to sleep. You can explode a myth every night for 25 nights. So I heartily recommend the book.